Good morning, everyone! On this blessed day, my son decided to make a charcuterie board. My garage is still going through some repairs and I'm using content I recorded during summer, which is why you see the beginning of this project taking place in summer. And in general, woodworking is much more easier in summer when driveway is available. So as the first step, my son first traced the general shape of the board he wanted. Here he took the easy path of tracing very close to a fungus line that already existed. Once that was done, he proceeded to use the jigsaw to cut the shape out. That piece was quite thick and his hands got tired of him, so he had to take breaks. And I finished the last end slice because he just couldn't continue anymore. Now his hands are much stronger and he doesn't need my help anymore. The days of them being younger are so bittersweet. Once the piece was ready, it was time to plane it until it got smooth. And also planing was done in this case to reduce the thickness of the piece a little bit. It was a very large and heavy piece of maple, and even for me I would need 2 hands to wield it. So he kept on planing it until it was smooth and I could grasp it by the handle with only 1 hand. Now that we got the dimensions and shape all set, it was time to make it functional on a router table. For step 1, we used the flute bit to make sure that whatever was cut with jigsaw was straight and perpendicular. Did a total of 2 passes. Back during those days, my son was a bit intimidated by the router, so we did it together. Following that, we used the roundover bit for the top of the board to give it those nice and curved ends. And for the bottom, we used the Roman OG bit in order to give the fingers a good hold so that the whole board can be held with only 1 hand without the fear of it slipping out. And that's it, the board was pretty much ready. It was now time to sand it. And as always, sanding starts off at 80 grit to remove any imperfections or blade marks left over by the router bit. And then slowly moving all the way up to 800 grit in order to give the piece a perfect and smooth feel. It was during those times when I first got my hands on a Festool sander, so my son was still new to using it and was struggling a little bit. Especially because he got too used to the old 5-inch Bosch sander that we had. Now that the board was slippery to the touch thanks to all the sanding, it was time to oil it. A total of 3 coats per side were applied over 5 days, and I have to say the whole color went from very pale white to rich orange. And this is just your typical mineral oil that we use, nothing fancy. Each coat significantly darkened the tint of the wood. Once wood drank its fair share of oil, it was time to wax it to shiny perfection. My son used generous amounts of wax and made sure that the board turned out as perfect as possible. I have to say the grooves made by the Roman OG bit really destroyed the wool padding for waxing. But overall this piece was great. It was the first piece my son sold for a total of 90 Canadian dollars, and to my surprise he chose to just grow the money instead of spending it on stuff. I was never like that as a kid. The total cost of making this piece was about $45, so he sold it for a profit of $45 for 4 hours of work. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much to the person that bought this. If you enjoyed what you see, please consider leaving a like or maybe subscribing. I try to release 1 video every week. If you have any questions or comments, those are very welcome too. Or you can just say hi. I will say hi back, I promise. I will see you next week. Bye bye!